What's up everyone? My name's Ercy and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. So if that's something you're interested, then stick around. Before I get into my thoughts on the book, I just want to say that I've done quite a bit of reading this year. I feel like putting out a video later on talking about that, or at least just talking about the books that I've read this year so far, because I'm actually halfway through my reading goal. I feel like this would be a good start in terms of putting out more videos on a more consistent basis rather than just waiting till I have a big chunk of time freed up for me to film and edit and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna put out shorter videos for now. So with that being said, this is my first solo book review. Like I said earlier, I'm going to talk about Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. And this is actually published by Avon. It's a division of HarperCollins Books, I believe, or HarperCollins Publishers. Well, this book came out at the end of 2019. And I wound up borrowing it from my library. I was just kind of perusing through the library and I saw it. I saw it just sitting there. And with my other library from where I used to live, they were never around. This book was never around. Everyone was borrowing it. So when I just saw it sitting there, I was like, let me just get it now. But being that I already finished it, I'm just going to put a picture up of the cover for a little bit. So I wound up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And I absolutely love this book. The hype behind this book is definitely real. It already made me excited for the sequels, and I already have Take a Hint, Danny Brown. I already have it checked out, so I haven't read it yet because I'm in the middle of another book. But once I finish this book, which is actually kind of shorter, I'm going to hop right into Take a Hint, because this book, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, was really fun, and I wanted to just keep going with it because it was really good. So this story follows the romance between Chloe Brown and Redford Morgan, because of course this is a romance book. And we begin with Chloe, who's living with fibromyalgia. And this is a chronic condition where she suffers from pain, soreness. She gets tired very easily. And she winds up having a near-death experience where she is forced to look at her life and try to find, and she wants to find ways to make it more interesting. So she decides she wants to take charge of her life and make it more interesting. So she makes a list of things that she wants to do or accomplish, or just to get her out of her comfort zone. So some of the things on the list is like ride a motorcycle, have a one-night stand, get drunk at a bar, go dancing, go camping, just fun stuff that she doesn't really get to fully experience because of her condition. So she winds up meeting Red because one of the first things on her list is to move out on her own, and Red is the super of the building that she lives in. And he winds up helping her with her list. He doesn't know everything that's on the list, but she allows him to know a little bit, and that's sort of how their friendship begins, because he's helping her accomplish those things in exchange for help himself, because she's a web designer and he wants to make his website so that way he can promote his artwork. So eventually, it's a romance, happy ending. So they develop a relationship, and it's actually really fun because there was just so many things that I loved about this book. I love that this was a dual perspective. We got both sides. We got to know Red and Chloe as they try to tame their attraction for one another, and how it explodes into this steamy romance. I feel like what sets this book apart from other romances is that we really get to know both Chloe and Red because of the way that it was written. And it really made the story really realistic. Both characters are overcoming certain traumas in their past relationships, be it romantic partners or friendships, or even their families. And it makes the way that they react to certain events really believable. Both characters are blunt, honest, really funny, super cheeky, and sarcastic. And they weren't afraid to admit that they weren't feeling well. I loved how they were able to see and recognize that they have things that they have to work on, And it made this that much more realistic for me in terms of how they interact with one another. They were just really honest. And I feel like that's something that I can take away from that, because just being honest in your relationships, be it your friendships or your romantic relationships, is super important. I feel like that's something you don't even really need to say, but it needs to be said, you know what I mean? So it was just one of those things that I really appreciated, because they were able to be true to themselves and recognize what they needed. It made them that much stronger for it. I never read a book that dealt with someone having a chronic condition, or at least one that stood out. And it really shed light, or at least awareness, into that world. But I didn't feel like it was overdoing it. I feel like, if anything, it was just realistic about it. And when it mentioned her condition or the way that it affected her, because that was her life. And if anything, it helped me feel more compassion for her. Usually a lot of books deal with able-bodied people. This was just a good way to get me out of that and recognize that other people are living other experiences. I got to understand how her condition affected Chloe and see how it shaped the way that people interacted with her. And Red really takes that into consideration. And I feel like that was really important to show that you can have certain conditions or certain ailments, and there are people that are willing to be there for you no matter what. To add on to that, I feel like the characters have this level of self-understanding that I felt was really realistic. I feel like I keep saying that. I have a shot anytime that I say realistic. They are pretty in tune with how they feel and acknowledge that they needed help in getting better, and that it was an ongoing thing and not just like a quick fix. But something else that I really loved about this novel was the banter between Chloe and Red. They're both smartasses, super cheeky, and I laughed out loud so many times with this book. I loved how they kept it real. They were really witty in their responses to one another. And I just really appreciated that as a reader, because a lot of the time some of the books that we read can be really serious or whatever. And this is just a good lighthearted read that was just really funny, and like I really appreciated it. And I also hate when characters are dumb just for the sake of being dumb. And I felt like this was an example of a book being smart and funny at the same time. I just absolutely loved how sweet Red was to Chloe. And he just wanted to show that he cared. He really listened to her and just wanted to show her a good time. He just wants to know her better. And the steamy bits in this book were actually really good. So that was another plus for this book. Overall, I really love this book. I can't gush enough about this book, and I plan on checking out the other sequels. Like I said, I have the next one checked out from the library already, and I gave this book a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. I would reread this in the future, and this is definitely something I would recommend to my friends to read. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Those are my thoughts on Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Let me know in the comments if you've read this or if you plan on reading this. What did you think of the book? Like, I want to know what you think. Let's start a dialogue. So more short reviews coming your way soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribed and give a like on this video as well. Links to my socials will be in the description box below. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!